The other day, I caught myself doing something I never thought I'd do. I was talking to someone younger than me, and somewhere in the conversation, I heard myself say, when I was your age, and immediately I thought, hold on, when did that happen? I still feel like I'm figuring things out. I still feel like I'm waiting for someone older to walk into the room and explain how all of this works. But then you look around and realize something strange. There isn't anyone coming. This is it. This is adulthood. And somehow nobody tells you that part. When you're younger, adulthood looks very different from the outside. You imagine that one day you'll wake up and suddenly understand everything. You'll know what career you want. You'll know where you're supposed to live. You'll know who you're supposed to become. There will be certainty, direction, confidence. Then your 20s show up and you realize something. Most people are improvising. The people who looked like they had everything figured out when you were younger, turns out they were figuring it out too. The difference is they just kept moving anyway. Nobody told me that. Nobody told me that your 20s would feel less like arriving somewhere and more like standing in an airport with a boarding pass, wondering where everyone else is going. Nobody told me that some friends would slowly become strangers. Not because anybody did anything wrong. Life just starts pulling people in different directions. Jobs, relationships, cities, responsibilities. One day you're seeing somebody every single day. The next thing you know, it's been 8 months since you last talked. Nobody tells you that either. Nobody tells you how weird it is to realize your parents don't know everything. Not because they aren't smart, not because they failed you, but because one day you realize they were figuring things out in real time too. That realization changes something. The people who always seem larger than life suddenly become human. And somehow that's comforting and terrifying at the same time. Nobody tells you that your idea of success keeps moving. When I was younger, I thought success looked like numbers. Money in an account, a job title, a house, certain milestones. Then you start reaching some of those things and realize they don't feel the way you expected them to feel. You don't cross some invisible finish line and suddenly become complete. You're still you. You still wake up with questions. You still wonder if you're doing enough. You still wonder if you're behind. And speaking of being behind, nobody tells you how often you're going to feel that way, especially right now. Because for the first time in history, we get front row seats to everybody else's highlight reel. Open your phone for 5 minutes. Someone your age just bought a house. Someone your age sold a company. Someone your age made $1 million online. Someone your age is traveling the world. And if you're not careful, you start feeling late to a race you never agreed to run. I think a lot of people in their 20s quietly carry that feeling around. The feeling that they're behind. Behind who? Nobody knows. But somehow it feels real anyway. Nobody tells you that free time isn't the same thing as fulfillment. Actually, I learned that one the hard way. For years, I thought, if I just had more time, then I'd start the business. Then I'd create more. Then I'd become the person I wanted to become. Then I finally had the time. And it turned out time wasn't the missing ingredient. Nobody tells you that sometimes what you're really missing isn't time. It's direction. Or excitement. Or something that makes you want to get out of bed and move toward it. Nobody tells you that some of the goals you spend years chasing won't feel the way you imagined. Or that some of the moments you remember most won't be achievements at all. There'll be random Tuesday nights laughing with friends. Working on something you're excited about. Driving somewhere with no destination. The little moments you don't realize you're living until they're already memories. And maybe that's the biggest thing nobody told me. Life doesn't announce itself while it's happening. There isn't background music playing. There isn't a narrator telling you, these are the good old days. Most of the time, they just happen quietly. Ordinary conversations, ordinary weekends, ordinary people. Then years pass and suddenly you'd give anything to go back for 5 minutes. just to experience one more completely normal day that you didn't realize would matter so much. Maybe that's why people always say, enjoy it while it lasts. Not because they're trying to be philosophical, because they've already lived long enough to know how quickly chapters end. I think when I was younger, I spent a lot of time waiting for my real life to begin, waiting until I had more money, more certainty, more confidence, as if one day I'd wake up and finally feel like I had arrived. Lately, I've started wondering if that day ever comes, or if life is just this constant process of figuring things out as you go, building, adjusting, changing directions, starting over, learning things nobody warned you about. And honestly, I hope that's true, because if everybody else is improvising too, maybe we're doing better than we think. Maybe nobody has it figured out. Maybe they never did. And maybe that's okay. Because if there's one thing my 20s have taught me so far, it's this. You don't need to have your whole life planned out. You just need something you're excited to wake up and keep building tomorrow.